Hello and welcome, intermediate students, to another intermediate lesson at learnpianolive.com. This is an intermediate lesson, so the assumption is that you can probably play a couple songs at least well enough to impress a couple friends. You might have some basic understanding of music theory or something, but you really haven't had any formal training. So if that's you, you're in the right place. If you feel, and throughout this lesson, like it's way too advanced, you might want to go back and check out yesterday's lesson. It's in the archives, the beginner's version of this lesson. That might answer a lot of your questions, but feel free to ask away, ask any questions. This is about you and me, so you got to ask questions so I know, how to help you best. And there's a couple other things I want to talk to you too about before this countdown clock hits 0. All right, first and most important, ask a lot of questions. The way that you're going to do that is there's a couple different ways. You can jump in the chat room and talk with the other students who are logged in at the same time. I'll be watching the chat room too. You ask your questions there, or if it's a question that's just for me, a question about the lesson, especially if you know it's one that's going to fit best at the question and answer time at the end, then you can just put your name and your question in the box below this video, click submit, and then I will get that. Now, if you're already in the archives, if you're watching this not live, but you're watching this in the archives, then make sure at the end of the lesson you click on the survey button. You don't have to fill out the entire survey. If you want to, I'd love your feedback, but really the best part of that is that you can put your question in there, and then when you click submit, then I will get all of your questions. I'll make sure that you get them answered, whether you're in the archives or you're live. Right next to this video, there should be a PDF button and an MP3 button. Now, you don't really need those till after the lesson because I'm going to be showing you on screen the PDF and showing you how to use it. And I'll play the MP3 during the lesson too, so you know at the end of the lesson how you're going to use that. Some people, though, like to print out the PDF ahead of time, so as I'm making notes on my version, they can make the same notes on their version, but works either way. All right, this is perhaps the most important part. You need to leave the lesson when you feel like you're sufficiently challenged. So, I'm teaching these lessons, 12 to 15 lessons a month. Normally, in traditional lessons, you're getting like a lesson every other week or so. So this is just way too much for you to take in. So, the goal is for you to get some little nugget of something that you can really practice on, really work on. Once you feel like you have that, then you really don't need anything else from me. Go practice. That's where this stuff is really going to happen. You're not going to get through this lesson and be able to play something really well. You're going to get through this lesson and have the information that you need to practice more effectively. That's really the goal here. So don't feel bad about taking off early. If you feel like halfway through the lesson you got as much as you can take in at that time, then go practice that thing, and then come back whenever you've got that thing down, or you're bored with it, or you just want to check out the next topic. Don't forget also that you've got the archives too. So if you want to see one little thing, just repeat it over and over and over. Just give me, hopefully within 24 hours after the lesson, this thing will be up in the archives, so you can just go back and watch it over and over and over and over and just get that little segment down. All right, today we're doing everybody's favorite topic. Out of the 8 sectors of musicianship, the one that everybody always likes the most is application. That's where you finally actually get to play a song. So if you've been here for the last couple weeks, you'll notice a lot of the same concepts popping up today, because we're going to take those concepts, we're going to apply them to a very specific song. If you haven't been here, don't worry about it. I'll show you how to play all of our little concepts. So hopefully at the end of today's lesson, you'll have all the tools to practice an actual real song that you can play for your friends and impress them. Let's go. Welcome back to, what is this, Murder to the Mind. I think she says murder to my mind. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to be talking about the theory of it. Yesterday we talked about how to play all the notes for the melody and the chords. The chords were pretty simple. It was just an F minor and a C minor. So hopefully that went pretty smoothly for you, or at least you understood how to make it go smoothly for you. And then today we're going to be talking about all the details of what went into this song. And as is the case with a lot of the songs that are looped, there's not a lot to it. So this might be one of the shorter lessons, but still thought we'd go into it and see what we could get out of it. So the first few pages is all of the stuff from the from yesterday's lesson with the notes and stuff like that. And then we get on to this page here. So the time signature of this one is just a straight 4/4. So and I'd love to play it for you, but for copyright reasons, obviously we can't do that. Plus, of course, this is just a parody of the song, and not the actual song itself. It just sounds a lot like the song Murder to the Mind. Copyright laws are stupid. So that is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Important things are happening on every fourth beat. So on the 1 of 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's in 4/4 time. Of course, these other time signatures are just different ways to group the important beats. So, for example, if this was in 3/4 time, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I wouldn't even really have to like count it out loud in order to just like be able to feel those pulses. 1, 2. You can predict that something's gonna happen right there and right there. So you can feel the pulses even if you can't count them. If you don't know how many there are, you can still like feel like you can be able to predict when important things are going to happen. And that is kind of the point of a time signature, is for your audience to be able to follow along with you and play what you're playing. The vast majority of music is in 4/4 time. So the bottom number, the top number here, is going to tell us how many notes there are, how many beats there are, how many seconds there are. I don't like that one. How many pulses there are before something important is going to happen again, or before you're going to feel that heavy beat again. The other number has to do with sheet music and what types of notes that you use in your sheet music. So in this case, the 4 is on the bottom, so you'd be counting with quarter notes. That doesn't really matter nearly as much as the top number. The top number is going to tell you how the song feels, whether it feels in sets of 2, in sets of 4, in sets of 3, in sets of 6, etc. Cool. So then next we've got comparing the sets of 4, and this song like could not be more symmetrical than it is. Just everything is beautifully in a set of 4, in the same way that you set up a time signature, and the most common time signature, like we said, is 4/4 time, meaning that things happen in chunks of 4. Well, those chunks of 4 also happen in chunks of 4, and I accidentally almost got into this yesterday, and I did a little bit, but over here we've got, for example, the intro. There's one measure, that's a chunk of 4. Here's a second measure, that's another chunk of 4. Here's a third measure, that's the next chunk of 4. And then there's our fourth measure. And so that's 4 chunks of 4 measures with 4 beats in each measure. Cool. I'm hoping that you're following along. And if not, you're letting me know in the chat room. So then we've got 2 of those sets of 4 as our intro. She could have put in 4 sets of 4, which would have been more poetic as far as the music theory is concerned, if there's such a thing as poetic music theory. But it just would have felt probably too long, and most listeners just like want to get to the hook. Like how much longer until you're going to get to the part where I can sing along, where I can jam with you. So the intro is just 2 sets of 4 measures for a grand total of 8 measures, which I would think of as 2 sets of 4. The next one actually is 4 sets of 4 measures with 4 counts in each measure. Each of those counts having, I'm not making this up, I swear, each of those beats having 4 sub-pulses inside. So everything feels in 4s. I don't know why. It's not like it should be like 10 or something rounder, but it's not. It's 4s, and that's just the way everybody feels, is in sets of 4. So then we've got a set of 4 right there. That's 4 beats, 4 beats, 4 beats, 4 beats. And one line is 4 sets of 4 beats. And then one verse is 4 of those lines of 4 chunks of 4 beats. It's just the way music works. It's just everybody feels that. And so it's really comfortable when she gets to this measure over here. Like the tension is really high because everyone's expecting something important to happen. Not only is this a new beat, a new set of 4 subpulses, but it's a new measure. So it's a new set of 4, and it's also a new like line. So that means we're building up to this new line over here, which is a new set of 4 measures, and it's the end of a set of 4 groups of 4 measures. I think I said that right. Lots of 4s. That's, I guess, the whole point. I could have just said that. It's a lot of 4s, and if you do things in 4s, then your audience will like your music more than the same song with some random number of measures. I promise you. So then the chorus is going to be the same thing. I had to split it up into 2 different pages, but the first set of 2 is right up here, and the second set of 2 is on the next page. So the chorus is also sets of 4, which is really easy to do with a looper pedal or something like that if you're wanting to set up something and then be able to come back and like go over that repeatedly. Sets of 4 usually easier for that, in my experience. So then everything is symmetrical. Next, the chord numbers. Now, this is kind of weird here. We got an F minor and a C minor. Those chords do show up in the key of A flat. You would have a C minor, that would be your 3 chord, and you'd also have an F minor, that would be your 6 chord. So if you want to think of this as the key of A flat, but going from the 6 chord to the 3 chord, you could do that. But if you want to think of it in the key of E flat, you could also do that, because that'd be going from the 2 chord to the 6 chord. Man, all right, let's go back and say that all again. So then, the key of A flat, that would be 1, 7, 6. So the F chord would be the 6 chord, and the C minor chord that we have in this song would be the 3 chord, because that's the 3. So we'd be going from the 6 chord to the 3 chord, to the 6 chord, to the 3 chord. However, as we discussed yesterday, we have this really pesky D that shows up in there. And so because we have that D, it's kind of hard to call this one the key of A flat, because the key of A flat would have that D, D flat. And we're using this D a whole lot. So you could call this the key of E flat if you wanted. If you call this the key of E flat, then we have number 1 being right here. So that makes that F chord a 2 chord. So we'd be going back and forth between the 2 chord and the 6 chord. 2 and the 6 and the 2 and the 6. Now, some of you are going to point out that really this thing has a minor feel to it, and the whole thing wants to end on the F minor. So it's the key of F minor. The problem with that is that in all keys, major and minor, your 5 chord has to be a major chord. So if we go to the key of F, this is not F minor, but key of F, we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be your 5. That'd be the 1. So that would be really nice, because we'd be going from the F, the 1 chord, to the 5. And that's more predictable than a 2 to a 6 or a 6 to a 3. Those are both kind of weird movements. So then we're in the key of F minor, except that 5 chord has to be major in all keys, major and minor. So we would expect to see a C major instead of a C minor. That would sound something like, let me zoom out here a little bit. So that would sound like... which is not terrible. So that's like a fine thing. It's just not what she does. She goes to C minor. So because she goes to C minor, then we could call this the key of F minor, but we're going from the 1 chord to the minor 5 chord. Or we could call this the key of A flat. Maybe one of my, growing into my least favorites. Because of this stupid note right here that we have. So that'd be going from the 6 chord to the 3 chord. Or we could call this the key of E flat, going from the 2 chord to the 6 chord. Those are kind of your options. I think the F minor one, going from the F minor to the minor 5, is the one that makes the most sense to me. But the key is definitely like E flat-ish, which would make this F Dorian. No, I should not have said that word. It makes it a version of F minor that is less common than the regular F minor that we usually use. Please let that be good enough. Unless you're terribly curious. All right, so questions come in. Then we got to talk about modes. We don't have time to talk about modes. Okay, we'll see. So the chord numbers, either 6 and 3 or the 1 and minor 5, or like we said, the 2 and the 6. That could also work. Okay, cool. So then the form of this is just going to be binary form. So we talked about AABA, where you have like 2 chunks of the verse, and then you go to like a chorus thing. You come back and do the verse at the end. But she's just going back and forth between these two things. And these two things are really the same thing because they're all 2 measures of F minor, 2 measures of C minor, 2 measures of F minor, 2 measures of C minor. So she's just going verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. And then like if she's got a solo in there, then that's going to be over the verse or the chorus, which is the same exact thing. It's hard to tell when she's playing a solo if she's playing over the verse or playing over the chorus because the chords are the same. I hope that made sense. So then melodic patterns and shapes. So this would go back to right over here. So when we're again counting this in the key of A flat, which I'm less and less in favor of all the time, we'd have 1 7 6 1 3. 1 7 6 1 7 7 6. So there's a lot of movement right here between the 1, the 7, and the 6. If you're counting this in the key of A flat, if you're counting it in the key of F minor, it'd be 1 and 2 and 3. And thanks for those of you who pointed out that occasionally, like when I write this stuff out for you guys, I try to write this in the key that's going to make the most sense for you. But in my head, I'm thinking F minor. So I keep hitting this one and then writing down a 1. And then I've got to go back and change it to a 6. So it makes more sense for you all, for some of you all. So anyway, thanks for the help on switching some of the 1s to 6s. But it kind of lives in this territory, whether you want to call that 1 7 6 or 1 2 3. Then it's all in there. The highest note is going to be this guy up here, that C, and then it goes down to this C for a little bit. But the range is relatively small, about an octave. It's not terrible, and the vast majority of it is happening right in there. Cool. So, and then lots of repetition. Those 3 notes. I gave you the range of these right here. So this is. If you were a dude singing this, you'd be in this range right here, kind of from that C up to that other C. I guess I wrote that in too close there to that C right there. And then, of course, if you are a female, as she is, then you could just sing this all an octave higher, as she does. So from that C up to that C. But if you were a dude, it'd be really, really high to sing that all the way up there. If you're male or female, it'd be easier to sing the actual same notes. But in most cases, when you hear a guy and a girl singing the same notes, they're not actually singing the same notes, they're actually singing an octave apart. So if the guy and the girl that were singing this song, theoretically in this cover that I'm imagining, it would sound like they were singing the same note, even though they would actually be an octave apart. She'd be singing up in her range, he'd be singing it down here. So when I say singing 2 different notes, it doesn't actually sound as different as them singing 2 different notes. Cool. And then for the arrangements and stuff, there's not much to talk about here. I'm guessing that she's using a looper for the song. I couldn't tell in the video for sure, but just the nature of it, how it kind of builds on itself. It starts with a part. So a looper is just the little pedal thing where you can like play something and then have that played back while you play something over top of that, and then have that played back, and then play another thing on top of that, and you can kind of like build this massive arrangement as you lay down each of the parts individually. And then like you can take them all out for a little section, then bring them all back in at the same time. So anyway, I'm guessing that's how she does that. But anyway, there we go. And then the notable rhythms here that we have written out, we've got beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. I told you that I would show you this, how each beat has in it 4 little subsections. So this is all just one measure, beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. So on beat 1, she's playing something. She's got something on the ah. So this is 1 E and ah. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and This stuff happens really fast though. So at this tempo, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and is about the pace that she's going through this stuff. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a... So we slow that way down, though. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and we play something on all the orange squares. Then we would have this. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 2E and a 3E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 3. I just played this. I swear. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1 and a 3 and a 4E. 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E. So that is that rhythm all written out. Okay, that's it then. So that is all of the parts. Let's do our wrap up. We'll do our feature of the day and then get to whatever questions you may have about that stuff. That was the only notable rhythm, by the way, that I could find in there. But we did talk about the time signature, how this is in 4/4, as is the vast majority of music that you're going to run into. Comparing sets of 4, everything is symmetrical in this, except for that little intro. It's only 2 sets of 4 instead of 4 sets of 4. But each of the verses and the choruses are exactly what you would hope for if you were a music teacher teaching theory and you were trying to demonstrate how things naturally happen in sets of 4. This is the perfect song for that. Chord numbers, still kind of undecided unless we were to talk about modes of major scales, and then we would, be talking about the F Dorian. But for right now, probably E flat major is the one that the chords most comfortably fit into. Or you could call this the 6 and the 3 of A flat, or you could call it the 1 and the minor 5 of F minor. Cool. And then the form we said is going to be binary, just meaning that you go back and forth between 2 sections equally, just back and forth and back and forth. And then the repetition in the melodic patterns, especially around these 3 notes, whether you want to call this the 1, the 2, and the 3, or the 1, the 7, and the 6, or the 2, the 3, and the 4, if you want to call this the key of E flat, then those are the 3 notes that are going to get repeated the most. So if you're going to do a cover of this, then those are kind of the notes that you want to just kind of stick around the most. And then if you don't really hit the other notes, not many people would notice. Vocal range for this is relatively small. It's about an octave and it goes from a C to a C. If you're a girl, that'd be about there. If you're a guy, that would be there, unless you have an abnormal range, which I guess everybody does. Nobody has an exactly normal range. So depending on how abnormal yours is, then that would probably be your range. And then the arrangements, there wasn't really too much to talk about. It's just little licks getting laid on top of other little licks, all looped together to make up the arrangement for the thing. And then we talked about the rhythms, which I played terribly for you as I was counting it, but talked about how each of the one measure is split up into 4 beats, and each of those 4 beats can be split up into 4 little sub beats, and we were calling those E and so you got the beat and then E and then and those are your 4 little sub beats, and showed how the rhythm boom ba-dum ba-dum ba-dum, how that breaks down into each of those little sub patterns. That's it. So then our feature of the day today is an album that's coming out that apparently several of you are very excited about, by a band called Milli, M-I-L-I. Go check out their stuff. There is a song that they have called Excalibur. I remembered it. And that is probably going to be a song that we are going to be covering soon. So it's on their upcoming album. It is not fully released, but part of that song is on their their preview thing or whatever. So if you want to go check them out and see what's coming up there, I'm very excited about that one because it's got that little walk down thing that if you were in the songwriting workshops that we did recently, then you remember the thing where we talked about like going from like following the bass line. And this song does that perfectly. So that's that whole thing that is going to be showing up in that. So anyway, that album is coming out on the 24th. We'll probably cover that song next week or the week after or something like that very, very soon. So let's get to your questions and see what we've got here. Let me check the Twitch stream. Ha. You win. All right. Question number 1 from the website. Have you ever seen... Oh, yes. Have you ever seen her live bedroom recording sessions? She definitely uses a looper. I have heard about those where she's like, it looks like she's in her living room or something, and she's like recording her first takes of this, I assume, before she went out on tour or something like that. And I've heard about them, but and I've seen like the cover art and stuff for them, but I haven't actually watched them. But yeah, so apparently she does use a looper. Definitely. It's official, according to one of the students, unless they're wrong, and then she doesn't. Could you do that one song? Thanks, Dan. I assume that's Dan. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I'd love to do that one song. Sorry. Nothing. Never mind. Which time signature is the saddest? I would say probably they could all be equally sad. Is there any of them that you can't be sad in? 2/4 is the hardest to be sad in. Yeah, 2's probably the happiest. Man, the rest of them, though, are going to be... I'm going to say, like, the more subdivisions you have, the 6, the 9, and the 12 are going to lend themselves to... those... Man, I think this is a terrible answer. I'm going to say that those are the saddest. Which isn't true in general. Yeah, okay. In general, those are going to feel... Man, I don't know if I agree with that at all. The right answer is they can all be sad. It more depends on what notes you pick to play and how you play those notes than it does what time signature you use. And then I'm supposed to play you a bunch of examples from each of those time signatures, how you could have a really happy 6/8. And then I'm supposed to play like a really sad something else. 3/4. I'm playing Whitney since I will always love you. So anyway, yeah, so that's the right answer. But then secretly, I think that probably the 6, the 9, and the 12 are going to more frequently lend themselves to being more mellow, which has the opportunity then to be more melancholy-esque. Yeah, I'm going to hate myself for saying that out in the world on the interweb that lives forever. But yeah, so I'm going to say those ones. 6, 9, and 12. But the real answer, the teacher answer, is they're all equally happy or sad. It has to do with which notes you pick and how you play them. Okay, it looks like, yes, that is the end of the questions, which means that's the end of the lesson.
because this all has to do with you and you playing these things, or you trying these things, or you understanding these things. So if you have more questions, fill out the survey on the website. And until next time, good luck, my friends, and have fun.